Hello, ladies, and welcome to Wisdom Wednesday. I am your host, Liz Lennon, and I am honored to be here on today. And I am going to be with you for the next 30 to 45 max minutes. But I'm super excited about being here and honored that I was asked to be a part of this ongoing series that we have every Wednesday. And I am going to share some things that I was asked to provide for you on today, some information. But before we get into all of that, once again, welcome. I know we've had a busy week. I know we've done a lot of things, but we are here. It is Wednesday. We're moving forward. I'm looking at the chat. Hello, ladies. I'm super excited. So let's start off first. I can't move forward without giving respect to the person who is in charge of this, and that is none other than Lady T, Teresa Rice. Thank you for the opportunity and sharing her platform. I'm super excited about where Lyft is going and just happy to be a part. It is a good thing to see a person goals and everything that they have put together come to pass. And so this is just the beginning. So I'm excited and once again able to share the platform. And I do believe that we are getting ready because that platform is going to be humongous nationwide. And I'm claiming that because I know it is so. So I'm so honored and happy to be here on today on behalf of Lady T. And of course, you cannot give honor to a person without giving honor to their better half, and that is Pastor Eric Rice, um, aka Pastor E. I love that dude. I do. I love Pastor Eric. Awesome man of God. Thank him for also sharing his wife with us and allowing her to be a part of our community and sharing herself with us midnight, morning, all types of the day which she's available. And we thank God because of course that's a whole nother subject. Some spouses are not that open and willing to share their gifts and honor their spouse's gifts. So we're thanking God for that on today. And the house of Judah, everybody, thank you for being here. And I am going to try my best. I was, of course, voluntold with Lady T, of those of you that know that is my sister as well. So I don't really get to rebuttal. I'm always told, and I was told that I was going to do this on today as well. I didn't even get to choose what I wanted to talk about. I was voluntold on that too. And so she shared some things. And of course, I don't go against that because this is her baby. This is her project. This is what she does. So if God leads her to go another a certain way, then I definitely respect that. So we're going to talk a little bit about um, the topic, It Didn't Stop Me. And of course, I had my own sermon written on the side of what I was going to do today, but she had it in her heart and it kind of joined together, correlates, I should say. Um, it didn't stop me, but even if it didn't stop you, we're going to talk about not giving up as well. And even with that, that it didn't stop me. I'm not going to say it's a cliche, but it's something that we often hear, especially in the spiritual world and in the church setting. We hear, sermons, and I'll be the first to say we pile a lot of sermons on and we collect and we do a lot of those things. And those are some of the key phrases that you hear. And I know that they're shared with great intentions. Don't give up, don't throw in the towel. And with a lot of obstacles that we face in this a lot of positions that we're in, we need to hear that. And that's truth, that's facts. We need to hear whatever the encouragement is for that day. So, or that particular moment in our life. So sometimes you do need to hear, don't give up, don't let it stop you. But one of the things that I do believe that is I'm not going to say a downside, but one of our body of Christ, the weakness is we give a lot of those things, but we don't tell people how. We don't go about sharing the don't give up. It didn't stop me, all of those good things. But when you throw those things out there and as a person who speaks and, teaches and engages with people, sometimes what you're saying is awesome and it's great, but you need to know how and the steps to go about doing so. There's a method, and here's the first thing: there's a method to anything that you do, life, period. There's a method in everything. Even it's said that it's a method in madness. So everything that you do, there's steps. Method is a synonym for steps. There's steps to everything that you do. So that it didn't stop me. And when we're up there and yes and going and don't let it stop you, don't let it get up, give up. You can't just say that and then leave people hanging and dry. Because the the most important thing to remember is even in that sometimes people get this misconception that one of the things that happen in life or the obstacles and the things that you face is a one-time thing. And obstacles that you face in life, trust and believe, is not a one-time thing. Is it simple and it can it be a simple thing, life going through it? Yes, when it's just you and God. But there's an adversary in there. And that adversary in the spiritual world we know is evil. And as long as you know that there's evil in that picture, you and God is not the only one that shows up to the party. There's always somebody that's going to interject and come in. And so when we know that that's what we have and we have that adversary there, They have a job too. It has a job. Evil has a job. And its job is to make sure that it stays right on top of you on everything that you do. So those exciting sermons that we get, and it didn't stop me. And I'm going to get to that later. And don't give up. We get excited, and let's just be real. I can only I'm gonna relate to myself today, and I know you ladies that's on here, you've gone through some of the same things, but you get this and you get that encouragement, and then when you get out here, you get knocked upside your head 2 3 days later, and you're like, what in the world is happening? So, how do we go about, and I have my notes too, y'all. Y'all see me looking to the side. How do we go about that? We have to be reminded. How do we keep pushing? How do we not give up? How do you go and say, don't let it stop you? What is a person supposed to do? One of the key things we learned first, there's a method, and those methods and those steps has to allow you to build a characteristic of resilience. We hear resilience all the time. And when you hear those things, once again, those encouragements, we're clueless on what it means and how to do it. And resilient is your number one, in my opinion, factor when it comes to giving you that. That is what helps you not give up. That is what helps you to keep going. That is when it comes in your way and these adversaries and these problems and just everyday life when it comes up. That is the key to allowing yourself to move forward. Resilience, even though I know y'all can't speak back to me, but somebody say resilience. Resilience, when people see you, or if someone had to look up your DNA, that's what your DNA should read. Resilient. That is what you should be. So, what is resilient? I'm going to give a defining of it. So, resilience, what is the definition? It means able to withstand, or recover quickly from difficult conditions, strong, quick to recover. It also says that it is able to recoil or spring back. Back into what? Back into its original state, back into shape. Stretching or able, when you are compressed, you're able to spring back. So when we are forming this characteristic of resilience, it is important to know resilience doesn't just come and it's just something that you are able to do. Even with resilience, there's steps to it. There's steps to even being resilient. And once again, we said that resilience will lead you into being able to withstand and withhold and not give up. And I can use myself. Perfect example. And I, like I said, with this, I'll give my own personal testimonies throughout. But one of those things that we have to realize in being resilient is it's not easy. Um, and I'll say that the number one thing, in my opinion, that is very, very important when speaking about resilience is number one, your environment. Your environment has everything to do with how your character is built. And so when we're striving to be resilient, it has everything to do with what you're surrounding yourself by and who you're surrounding yourself with. And I know this sounds cliche. I know we hear this a lot of times, but sometimes when we sit by ourselves and realize, after we have 15 lumps upside our head because we done got our bottoms kicked by the devil throughout the week, been there, done that. And you live this life, it's going to happen. It's inevitable for you not to have things happen. But when these things happen, it depends on your environment and how you are able to build that character of resilience. I come from a family, and I'm pretty sure Lady Tia shared this because we come from the same household, same parents. I come from a family that we born and raised in church. Everybody knows that. Well, most people know that. And we were taught faith, 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 faith. And I don't knock faith. Actually, I've been able to get through a lot of things in my life because the scripture says it's the evidence of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. That is faith. So my father especially was a hardcore faith, and everything that we did we saw my parents do. And even when I saw them get knocked down with some things, I had to see that for myself. But it wasn't just him telling me, or wasn't just my parents saying, have faith, have faith. They actually went out and worked towards it, and it was actually something that they built on. So that was just an example. When we're thinking about resilience, you have to have a strong environment and make sure that people within your environment are also going to be the same character. Because what is it? Birds of a feather flock together. So you have to make sure that in this building your character of resilience, that you have to make sure that you are putting yourself in an environment where people are likewise. People are doing the same things. I never understood or don't understand, if you're an alcoholic, why would you go back and hang? And if you're recovered, you go hang with alcoholics. That makes no sense. If you are a recovering alcoholic, then you hang with people who are also either recovered or they're not alcoholics. So you can make sure that you keep yourself in that environment so you can remain a recovered alcoholic so you won't have any setbacks. So being resilient, your environment has everything to do with it. Sometimes we can't control our environment, so that is where Christ steps in and spirituality steps in. Because sometimes you just can't get up and leave, whether it's where you live, where you work. All of those things include your environment. So when you are in that, sometimes you can look at people and say, hey, this is what I want. This is they're strong, this is this. And then sometimes you don't have that. And so that's where God comes in at, because he is that, of course, in all areas, God is what we need. But still talking about the natural, because I know we're spiritual, but still, leaning on the natural today. But making sure that your environment, you have people within your environment, that is important, because really that's the start, period. So if you want that strong characteristic and you're building towards that character of resilient, your environment means everything. Lady T calls me and she talks to me all the time about the things that she wants to do for Lyft, Trust, and a whole host of other things that I have to be subdued to. And she calls me and she talks to me because she know that whatever she leans out, or I should say reach out to me for, she knows that I have. So that's why she makes sure, even with this, she surrounds herself with people that are going to have the same like mind. So your environment means everything. Now, when we're building that character of resilience, it's also important for you to be aware. A lot of times, and I posted it on my Facebook page, those of you that follow, sometimes when you are in situations, you're in situations because you're not truthful with yourself. And we have to be aware of who we are and where we are. And one thing that I do know, with all of the things in my life that I didn't allow to stop me, one thing that I was very careful about being and doing, and I still do today, I'm aware, but number one, I don't lie to myself. Being honest with yourself on where you are and who you are in life is important when it comes to building that character of resilience. A lot of times we wonder why we are in the state that we're in, because and I know you don't want to hear it, but you're a liar. Bottom line, you lie to yourself, you lie about who you are, you lie about where you are, you lie about your surroundings. And one thing that I learned, if you lie to yourself, you'll lie to everybody else, including God. So when it comes to knowing and building that resilience, you got to first be real with yourself and who you are and where you are. Don't lie to yourself. If your life right now is jacked up, in lightest terms, it's jacked up. Okay. And if it's jacked up, then what are you going to do about it? But you can't. And one thing that my mom taught me a long time ago, there's some things in life that you're going to be able to just kind of deal with and it's going to be okay. And then there's some things in life you've got to actually say, I can't move forward with this. This is what I'm doing. This is where I am. What am I going to do about it? But I'm the first to admit, I got to get the gab. I can talk all day real quick and I can get you. But sometimes you can talk real quick and talk yourself right into the situation that you're in, or you talk yourself out of getting out of the situation you're in, if that makes sense. You keep yourself where you are, because we lie and make everything seem like it's good and it feels good. Even when I talk to people, and I've even told people myself, yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm all this and I'm that and I'm that. Lying, that's just being real today. Lying When I get back by myself, that's not where you are, Liz. You know that's not where you are. And when you lie to yourself and where you are and what you're doing in life, you never know if you were truthful to that person or truthful about the situation, they could have been your very help at that moment. So when you're building this, still talking about resilience, and somebody may say this has nothing to do with it. Yes, it does. It has everything to do with resilience because that characteristic, you're gonna have to face all of those things. It's not telling you you're gonna. It means bounce back. When you bounce back from something, that means something's coming your way. So you've got to keep all of this stuff in your mind and in your spirit, your environment, being truthful to yourself, being aware of where you are. When I first got into my accident, and for those of you that don't know, I have limited mobility. I was in an accident some years ago, and I was young. I was very young, 18 years old, and I was going through some stuff at the time. Life um, had hit me with some pretty rough things. Um, I pick with people all the time and say I feel like I'm 97 years old because I've been through so much stuff at a very early age. Um, and when the enemy knows who you are, that's why I said it's very important for you to be honest on where you are and who you are, because you're still dealing with a spirit. And that's a whole nother topic. Maybe we'll get into that a little later, but you're still dealing with the spirit. The enemy is still a spirit that's been around since the beginning of time. And it has foresight and can see into your future just like you can or a prophet can. These are spirits we're dealing with. We're in the spiritual world. And sometimes when the enemy knows who you're going to be, that fight starts early. And since I was a kid, I have had things happen to me that's just unexplainable. Challenges, different things. I remember Lady T sharing a story, and my mom sharing a story where I was in my crib choking, and there was a visitor at the house. God led her back to the crib. I was literally choking and could have died. Things like that has happened to me all the way up. And so when I got into my accident, it was very important. I was a kid, I was still young. But once again, because of my environment and the things that was instilled in me, I was able to be honest when the biggest thing in my life was facing me. I had a doctor tell me that after I got hit, of course, I was hit by an 18 wheeler, T-boned my car, split my front car all the way off. I went through my passenger's window, hit a light pole, and bounced back out into the street, and was trapped under my tire. Of course, I had a lot of damage done, and of course, this still talking about resilience. I had a lot of damage done, and when I was in the hospital, you know, family was there around the clock. But at those very moments that they were not there, I was alone. And when you're alone, that's when the battle begins, especially up here, because that's when that adversary comes in and tries to do his work. And it was plenty of nights, of course. My environment allowed me to have that faith to say everything that the doctor was telling me was not going to be. But, and this was a battle within itself, and I want you to hear me with this. I even had people to say, don't listen to the doctor. You're not paralyzed. You're not this. You're not that. We're going to have faith. And I then, even at that age, and I thank God for his wisdom, I even then said, no, no, I am paralyzed right now. I am. I couldn't move. I couldn't feel. I couldn't do anything. I was literally dead weight. And there were so many nights I cried because I didn't understand. But I had to say first, yeah, I am paralyzed. And a lot of people don't like to hear that, especially when it comes to spirit and faith. But I had to say, yeah, I'm paralyzed. That I am. But the magnificent thing about it, and this is where your resilience and this is where God and faith steps in, that was a situation that I had to be honest with first. Because if I wasn't honest and in denial, how was he going to heal? So if I kept pushing away and saying, no, 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 you right, I'm not paralyzed. No, 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 I was. And now what I can't do for myself, God, and what I can't heal, I need you to step in because I had the faith that I would be able to move. Because when I tell you I couldn't move, I couldn't move. And my sister was there with me. I had to have um, what you call straps around my legs just to help me move my dead weight. I had to, if I wanted to get from the bed to a chair, I had to slide and use a sliding board. I couldn't move at all. So, in order for me to do that, I had to be honest with who I was and what was going on at that time. And it was then when I said, this is what it is. God, what do I do? And then, of course, that's when the healing began. So it's very important for you to know your environment and get in the right environment. And when you get in that right environment, stop lying to yourself and to others of where you are and be real with where you are, because that's the only way God can move and get you out of the situation or keep you or build that character of resilience so that when adversaries and different things in life come, you're able to be able to fight because your character exudes resilience. So being in the environment, being in the correct environment, being honest with yourself, those are just one of the two steps. Also, once you figure out and realize where you are and you're honest with yourself, and we do know that that's when God is able to deal with you and He's able to move in the situation. Then you begin with that resilience. If that's the characteristic that you are claiming to have, once again, we said earlier, there's steps to being resilient. A part of that resilience is having a plan, okay? Because you can't bounce back just bouncing back. What are you going to do to bounce back? So we already know you get in the right environment. You don't lie to yourself and you be honest and aware of where you are in life. And most importantly, and Lady Chi knows that I drill this all the time. That's it, Megan. Have a plan. Resilience has everything to do with having a plan to remain resilient. You have to build that characteristic, but you have to keep that characteristic. So, what are the things that you're going to do to remain resilient? Not only building towards having that characteristic, but stability is important, period. Because sometimes we throw these things on people. It's no different than what I tell people when you purchase a home. When I purchased my home, and for those of you that are homeowners, you know, it wasn't the fact of having the finances to afford a mortgage. It's all the stuff that comes along with it. I have a mortgage, but I had to make sure that I could afford. When you say affording a home, it doesn't mean just the mortgage. Because when you are in your own home, that means you have to pay for everything yourself. So when your water heater goes out, when your roof is leaking, all of those things, you have to be able to be equipped to be able to afford it. It's no different than resilience. You have to have a plan. Okay. What is your plan? Because sometimes we hop out here and we do stuff and, we can get upset, but we hop out here and we do these things and we blame the enemy for a lot of stuff that's not his fault. And I'll never give the enemy any credit because he's nothing but a liar and his whole kingdom. But some of this stuff is not the enemy's fault. Some of this stuff, we go out here and we do this stuff and we get that testimony. It didn't stop me. Some of this stuff shouldn't have happened in the first place because you don't have no plan. What is your plan in life? What are you doing? This resilience has everything to do with you taking the steps to make sure that you stay strong. So, making sure that you are able to bounce back, you have to have those characteristics, like we said, resilience. What are those things? What are you doing with your life? Having a plan. You just can't have no strategies and no goals in your life. When you have no strategies and no goals in your life and don't nobody know where you're going, you don't even know where you're going, you are fair game. Fair game. So rewind. When I was told, and the devil is pretty manipulative and bold. sat right in front of me and said to my face, "You will never walk again." They even threw some statistics out there and said one out of 100 people with your injury ever walk. So, with my environment, meaning my parents, they were right there with me. I never forget, I can see it now. We were in a conference room, and it looked as if he took pride in saying it. So I took pride. My father said, "First, you don't know the God we serve." That was number one. Number two, I said, "I'm going to be that one out of 100. As a matter of fact, before I leave this hospital, I will walk." And he looked me dead in my face and said, "I like to see that happen." So now they rolled me back to my room. When everybody left, I cried because when I was moving, trying to move, I couldn't. But what did I do? What did Liz do? What I do now? I said, "Lord, now you done got me out here. Now I have faith." And this is how, that's me and God's relationship. Now, I can't tell you how to talk to God, but God is my bestie. So I talk to God with respect, of course, but that's how we roll. So yeah, I was real honest. I said, "You got me out here now. I believe in you. Now I'm in here and I'm out here quoting scriptures and doing stuff like you said, but it ain't nothing happening. Now I'm out here. You said that if I ask, it shall be given. What is going on and what do I need to do?" So God talked to you just like you just like you talk to him. That's what he'll let you know. You got to try. You can't be up in here crying every night. Crying is doing what? And it's getting you where? But a headache and baggy eyes, which of course I was 18. I was handling it, trying to handle it the best that I could. So what I did, I got up, I changed my attitude first. Still talking about resilience because you can't be in here talking about don't give up. It it didn't stop me, and you look like you've been jumped by 5 people. It obviously it almost stopped you. You got to change your attitude. I can't stand when people are milly mouth about stuff that God does, and you looking busted and toe up. You need to change your attitude first. It ain't easy, Tammy. It's hard. It is. It is not easy. And I would not sit here and lie to you and say that it is. Because when I sat there and I nobody was with me, and like I said, those are the times that the enemy works the hardest when you're by yourself. Here I am, 18, sitting in my room. My friends are going off to college, calling me and talking to me, and I'm in there fighting for my life and trying to adjust to my life being different. So yeah, I cried all the time. But when I actually saw it wasn't getting me nowhere and he let me know it wasn't getting anywhere either, and that's really not what he want to see because he don't move off of that. It's no different than how we move with people. I'm not really phased and moved when you always crying to me about something. That doesn't make me help you. When I help you is when I see you trying and when I see you trying to do the best of your ability. If you call me and say, "Hey, Liv, I need some money. I done tried. I tried. Hey, here I am. Hey, take the money. I know you trying." So when God actually saw my attitude changed. That was the first thing. I had to change my attitude. So I got up when the nurses came in. "Hey, how you doing? Bless. What we doing today?" "Well, we were just gonna do this." "No, no, no. I need to go to the gym. I need to go to the therapy room." I promise you, y'all. We prayed, my attitude changed, and I don't have any money for you, Megan. My attitude changed. I prayed, and I promise you, the enemy fought me so hard, but I kept it moving. I kept the positive attitude. Even in the nights I still cried. I said one thing, if I put my life on it, I know you not to be is a liar. God, you are truth. And if you said it's going to happen, if I put it out there and you gave me, the assurance and confirmation that it will, then I'm not worried about it. Let's go. I promise you, I had 2 weeks in therapy and it was getting down to the wire. I had a pass. They allowed you to have a pass to go home for the weekend. I was in there for 3 weeks. I'm sorry. And they said, do you want to use your pass? When I first started, I said, no, I don't want to go home right now because I'm missing home because I was in the hospital for like 2.5 months. So I said, no, I don't want to go home. I'll wait until the weekend before it's time for me to be released. And then I'll take my weekend pass. Had a plan. So I said, now mind you, this entire time I changed my attitude, but I still had those prayer warriors in there. And I mean some hardcore ones too. Those old first, I love everybody, but it ain't nothing like a mother's prayer. And those old school mothers, they prayed every time they came in. They prayed hard till I wanted the presence left in my room. So when the enemy tried to come in with that mess, check that and leave it at the door. That goes back to your environment. I had to set my environment and I had to change my attitude. So when that weekend pass came, I went to church. Of course, my mom was pastoring at the time, and I went to church. But before I went to church, mom came in my room that Friday. I think it was that Friday. She came in my room, and I was having a low day because it was getting, like I said, close to that time. And, I'm like, Lord, you said, you know, what's going on? And I promise you, when it seemed like it's about to be over, that's when God moves. So I was sitting on the edge of my bed, y'all. And once again, I had uh, there was these cuffs that they had on my legs because that was the only way that I could move weight. And so my legs. And so mom was there and she did her regular thing every morning. She came in, she prayed, set the environment, set the tone. And before she left, she would pray. So I was having a rough day that day. And she took my legs. I was sitting on the edge of the bed. Now, mind you, this is for months of not moving. So if I had an itch, I couldn't scratch because I couldn't move. The first time they sat me on the edge of my bed, I tilted over because I had no balance. So I was paralyzed. She said, and if anybody knows my mom, Pastor Lennon, there's a certain way that she asks or tells you to do something. You can tell when it's natural and you can tell when she coming from a spiritual place. And so we were taking off my straps and I was getting ready to go to bed, lay down for the evening. And she said, try to move your leg. And I was like, listen, not today. I love you and I have total faith in you and what God, because my mother's a powerful woman of God. She is. But I was like, not today. I ain't got time for that. I'm tired. She said it again, but it wasn't in a motherly voice. She said, move your leg. Try to move your leg. I promise y'all, it was my left leg. And I said, okay. Y'all, when I moved my leg and it popped over, I can't even explain to you the feeling. And my mom said, if I had a camera, that was the biggest smile I had ever seen in my life on you. And we both sat there for a minute. And of course, doubt plays in. The enemy, and I don't give him credit, but in this, in your resilience, you need to know your opponent. Adversary means your opponent. So you need to know who is there and how crafty and wicked he is. Anytime he can get in here, and this is his playing ground right here. And he moves quick because they never leave. God just blankets you from what you see and he covers you, but the enemy is always standing by. So that quick, he tried it. That's just your leg spasming. And people, this stuff is real. And that's your leg spasming. That quick he was talking. And of course, thank God, my mom said, move your other leg. I moved my other leg. And let me tell you, from that day forth, it was a wrap. Do you hear me? I took that past that week. Elder Chadwick, all of the people up front, before we left, she said, we're going to pray. We prayed and she said, we're going to do something different. You're going to stand up. I stood. I took, what, 5, 6 steps. Lady T was there. I promise you, it was a feeling like no other. And this still has everything to do with resilience because you don't wake up resilient. There's things that you have to go, there's things and steps that even with resilience you have to have. When I left that place that Monday morning, I was ready too because I had some doubters. My therapists, they were trash and they always had something negative to say. When we got there, they said, you want to try the parallel bars? Rewind real quick. The first time that they tried to stand me up when I first got there, it took 6 people to stand me up. And I didn't even feel my legs. And when I wanted to stand up, they would put me in this like crane that they would have to crank in order for me to be able to stand. But I promise you, when I came back, she said, what do you want to do today, Miss Lennon? I said, I want to try parallel bars. And she said, you sure? Because we can do you on the crane. I said, that ain't what I asked for. I need to go to the parallel bars. I need to show you something real quick. Went to those parallel bars. She said, well, do you need it? I said, I don't need any help. I said, I just need a strap. And you follow me behind with my chair. I walk from the other end to the other, one end to the other. I promise you, and I wouldn't lie on God. She said, well, what happened to you this week? Y'all have a healing session or something? I said, exactly. We did. We had a healing session. Now, here's the thing. Out of all of that, and that's just a part of my story. We're not even going to talk about, some of the things, and I may have a little bit more time, maybe 5, 7 more minutes. I don't know when I'm supposed to cut off. But even with that, having goals still has everything to do going back to when I had a plan and when I claimed or made that declaration that I was going to walk. It wouldn't have happened with me still sitting in my room crying. That's not how that works. Get off your bottom. Make it work. You've got to have a plan. Now, here's the catchy thing. And this is real. I'm talking from a real place, y'all. One of the things that we have to be careful about when we are in the body of Christ is when things happen, we act as if it's a one-time thing, like I said before. Sometimes we can get the impression that that attack is just the only attack, or your hardship is the only hardship. You are going to have, and a lot of people don't like to hear this, as long as you live on this earth, and once again, you have a what? Adversary, you're going to have hard times and hardships and obstacles in your life to the day you close your eyes. The day you lay your eyes to rest is when you stop having obstacles. And that's on this earth because we don't know what's planned in the next. But when you're here, that's what you go through. Especially if you're around here saying that you in church or you're a child of God or you making all of these Lady T on here making all these declarations and you helping women and people are getting delivered. Oh, that's an automatic. You're going to automatically have some hardships. So you've got to prepare, having a goal, not just when it comes to hardship, but being resilient in everything because it matters. So you have to know this isn't a one-time stop. Unfortunately, it's not. You've got to be resilient, and that's a characteristic. Characteristics usually don't leave. It's what makes us who we are. So when someone sees you and they say you're resilient, you had to do things to become resilient. So once again, planning, knowing your goals, knowing your vision. Don't just leave yourself, like I said earlier, open. I'm going to go out here and I'm going to do things. And then, you come back beat up. That's like you walking into an open field full of lions. Now, unless the Lord told you were going to be another Daniel, you need to make sure you got some kind of strategy before you go out there as raw meat in front of a whole a whole field full of lions. That's not how that works. You got to have a plan. How you going to run through to dodge those lions, or what you going to do to hide from those lions to get to the other side. Or let's just be real. Don't go in the field at all. Because some of the stuff, like I said earlier, ain't got nothing to do with the enemy. Some of the stuff we leave ourselves fair game for, and you walk into yourself. One of the other things that when we're talking about it didn't stop me, and be careful even with that, the resilience and the things that you're doing. Don't get lost and caught up. And this is a sidebar, but it must be meant for someone. Don't get caught up into the characteristic to the point that you think that's all you got to do, like I said before, and then that's you, and you become a little bit of arrogant. And let me break that down for a second. When people see me, I am thankful that they say they see strength. Okay. I'm a resilient person. Okay. However, that's what you see. There's things that I have to fight every day. There's some disappointments. There's some things that I still have to make sure that I don't get lost in that. And I don't say, they say I'm strong, and then you go out here and you do stuff, because people see things, but you're still a human and there's still things that you fight. So that's why I said to that last point, it's important for you to know that these things are still going to be, and it's important for you to know who you are, but just don't let it sit. You have to stay encouraged, because my walking, be real with you, a lot of people see me and say, "You still in a chair though." Those that were with me from the beginning already know what it is. But I'm still in the chair, and I'm gonna be real with you. I don't have nobody to blame. I'm in the chair and haven't got further because of me. How many of us are willing to admit that? And like I said, we're still trying to stay on topic, but hey, if it's here, then let's talk about it. You got to remember, you can't stop there. Sometimes we get comfortable in the characteristics that we are. We allow that to take us in a sense of you act like you don't have to do anything else. So I'm strong, and that's what people see, and I'm keep going, but there's still things that I have to keep working on and working towards. I'm in this chair. My family is very, they can vouch for it and confirm. It's very seldom that I talk about my walking. Even with some of you that I know, I haven't had a conversation about my walking, and you won't hear me really complain or say much about my walking. You know why I don't say much about my walking and complain? Because I already know what I have to do and why I am where I am. I lied for a couple of years. When people would ask me, "Oh, yeah, yeah, I do this, I do that," lying. And I had to get to that point that I was real with myself. Liz, you're not doing that. Stop lying. No, you're not. That's why you know further than where you are. You can't say things to people that sound good. You can't say things to people that you think they want to hear. This whole journey is about you being real, real with yourself. What did I say from the beginning? Don't lie. Be honest with yourself. So right now, I had to confess some things and come to the realization of some things. And I didn't want to, and this is a good one, I didn't want to admit because it went against what people thought of me. And that was me strong. I'm a strong person, but I struggled with a lot of things myself. I failed in my home, and it scared me. And it prevented me from doing the things that I was doing towards my walking. But I didn't want to admit that because it jeopardized people looking at me being strong. I was scared, real talk, because my fall is not like your fall. When I fall is like dead weight because I don't have the muscle strength to catch like you catch. And it hurts. And I could jeopardize something else in my body, my spine, or anything else. So I was scared. And when I say it was the first time that I was ever paralyzed with fear, and I was scared. And when I've always heard the phrase paralyzed with fear, literally, my body locked when I would try to do something, or if you would move my chair, I would freeze. And I still do in some cases. So I said that to say You still have things to work on. Don't get so caught up in that characteristic that that's what you want people to see, but at the same time, you struggling too. And I know that kind of counterparts what I'm saying, but that's the real part of it. I'm a strong person and I lied about a lot of things and where I was because I wanted people to continue to see me as being strong. So I am now just being able, and I'm trying not to get emotional, I'm not an emotional person, but I am at that point now because there was a lot of things that came behind that, you know, um, feeling like I failed with my walking. Lord, what do I do? I've told this and I've had this story for years, and here I am still sitting in the chair. You know, did I give up? You know, um, I'm not walking. How much time have I wasted? You know, People see me as strong, but I'm struggling. So that strength, you know, that resilient character, I still am, but I'm still human and you still have problems. So don't lie about where you are because it is now and at this point years later, I'm able to confess that and I do believe that God is able to move in some areas and I'm being real, you know. Um and that's just my part, being honest with myself. I've accomplished a lot of things and I'm still on that journey of accomplishing, but sometimes I feel like that is a failure, and I didn't want to admit that because, you know, people not going to see me as strong. So, is it a journey that's easy even with this resilience? No. Don't be so caught up into that characteristic that you lose you, you know? So, and that was a sidebar, and I can't believe I'm crying on here because that's not me. But, I have feelings too, and sometimes you get caught up in that. But I still want you to remain focused because those are the things that I struggle with, you know. So even with that, it's just being real. And I keep saying real because that's just what we have to be in this developing character of resilience. Um, I sit sometimes and I'm like, Lord, Jesus, I've accomplished degrees, I've accomplished professions, and this thing is still sticking over me. And, and that's when the enemy pounces too. I have people walk up to me, you still in that chair? And those things I struggle with too. But I will say, every time I feel low, I get that encouragement. God lets me know, you know, that's on you. Whenever you ready, I'm still here, because there's so many things that happen to us. We think, am I too old? I've wasted time. What am I going to do? I'm here, but it's just what it is. So like I said, developing that characteristic, that whole, it didn't stop me. That's what we want to be able to say in the end. But in order to say that, you have to develop a characteristic of resilience. Because if not, you'll never be able to use that phrase and it be true. You will never be able to say it didn't stop me if you don't learn how to develop a characteristic of resilience. So I encourage you today, even myself, this was for me. I mean, y'all real cool and everything. I appreciate you joining, but me, myself, sometimes you have to say things out loud in order for you to realize where you are. So I will say today, don't stop. Make sure that you secure your environment. I know Lady T sends out things, and I know it seems like sometimes, God, that's my sister. Trust me, I know. Um, with the things that she has for Lyft and the things that she asks you to do and the things that you put out there, she puts out there. Sometimes things are placed in your life for you. So don't think of it as too much. Sometimes that is a healing for you, that is developing and building your character in so many different ways. So just make sure that surround yourself. Lyft is an awesome, trust me, I wouldn't have suffered some of the things that I went through as a woman, in my personal life if I had a sisterhood like this. So be encouraged. Don't take light what she instructs because it's something that is beneficial to you. So make sure that you surround yourself. Lift is a great uh, factor to have within your environment. Your lift sisters, even with some of you that get complaints from your family, that's all you ever do. You would lift. That's all you ever do. Yeah, that's all you ever do. If that's keeping you from being in a situation, yeah, surround yourself with that all day, every day. Make your environment important and make your environment an environment that's going to be beneficial to you and to help you. Also, with this characteristics of resilience, we also learn to make sure you have a plan. Be aware first. Don't lie to yourself. Be real with where you are and who you are in your life, because that is the only way you're going to be able to go through this process and this journey we call life. And lastly, make sure you have a goal. Don't leave yourself fair game. Have a plan, not just a plan in your spiritual life, but make sure you have a plan in your personal life. You want to go back to school, go back to school. You want that business, go back. Now, is there going to be some obstacles? Yep, they are. There's no lie. It's going to be. Sometimes you catch hell before right there at that breakthrough. Just think about it. When I gave that story of my walking, I was about to give up. I was tired, but right when you're about to give up, and I know we hear that all the time, but it's happened. That's when you're blessing, and that's when God is there for you. So I hope that this has been something that has helped somebody today. Um, I plan to only talk for like 30 minutes, but I see I've taken up the whole hour. But I hope that this was helpful to someone today. And I hope that and I know Megan uh, will share my contact information. Anytime that you need help or somebody to just talk to, because sometimes it doesn't have to be, sometimes spiritual. Sometimes you need a natural person to vent to talk to talk it out. Just make sure you keep your sister circle strong and make sure that you're there for each other. But I hope that this was a help to somebody. And I hope that I'll be able to share this platform again. But once again, thank you, Liv. Thank you, Lady E, Lady T, for doing this for me and allowing me to share your platform. And I know that next Wednesday, and please be mindful of your region that you live in. The times are different for all of us. But at 12 o'clock, um, that this Wisdom Wednesday, she's always on 12 p.m. Central and 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And make sure that you stop what you do and try to join and get that encouraging word. And Lift Book Club. Lift Book Club. I'm going to buy a book, y'all. I'm going to get on there. But Lift Book Club, I know for a fact I attended a little bit of it last week, but Lift Book Club, Megan, what is the date? I mean, what is your date? I think it's Tuesday or Monday nights. I'm not for sure of the exact day, but it's at 7:30 via Zoom. If you can type that in for us so we'll know, but make sure that it's tonight. Okay, it's tonight. So it's the same night as your Wisdom Wednesday, and they go right into their book club. So make sure that you tune in, and if you can, if you're not reading the book that they are going over tonight, make sure that you go to their website so that you'll know whatever they're reading. I'm pretty sure that that information is provided, and make sure that you visit their website so you'll know the upcoming events and dates that they have so far as the Lift, Take Flight with Lift, which I'm pretty sure, I think is quarterly and it's coming up. So all of that information, I'm pretty sure that is listed on that website, but make sure you visit. So if anything, I love you all. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and make sure you develop that characteristic of resilience. God bless y'all. Love y'all.